My students always tell me that the speaking questions in the Duolingo English test are the most difficult. They're the scariest because you have to speak all in one go. You can't re-record. You're talking to the camera. It just feels weird. So, in this video, we're going to look at the most difficult DET speaking questions. We're going to do some practice together, and I'll give you 160 level answers so that you can practice by yourself. So, let's get started. Hello, I'm Francis from Last Minute English. Today we're focusing on the most difficult DET speaking questions. We're going to look at 4 different question types altogether. I'm going to give you some little tips for how you can improve your speaking score. We're going to do some practice, and I'll give you full answers that you can follow along with as well. So we're going to start off with the longest of the DET speaking questions. Which one is that? What do you think? So that is the speaking sample. And in speaking sample, you have 30 seconds to read the question, to think about it, to make a plan. And then you speak for 3 minutes. And this one comes like towards the end of your DET. Okay, so let's take a look at a question on the screen now, and in a second you're going to answer it. So the question says, art can be a powerful way to express emotions or make sense of the world. Talk about a time when creating or experiencing art had a strong impact on you. What was the situation and what did you take away from it? Okay, so in a few minutes after you've had a try, I'm going to show you my full answer for this, and I'm going to show you what you should say and also how you should say it, okay? But that's coming up later. First, I want you to have a try at this, okay? So you're going to have 3 minutes. You're going to have the timer on the screen. I'll also give you that 30 seconds to have a think at first, all right? And I really want you to speak. I want you to have a try, all right? Even if you're kind of on the subway or you're on the bus or something, just try and like speak under your breath. But try to get an answer for this one, because then when we look at my answer, it will be more helpful if you've tried it yourself first. Anyway, the question's going to be on screen, 30 seconds to prepare, 3 minutes to speak. Your time starts now. Okay, so that was your taste of speaking sample. Let's take a look at my answer. And something you'll notice, and we do this in a lot of our videos here at Last Minute English, you'll notice that some of the words are highlighted, and that means that we put some stress on them. And other words, we say them like quite quickly, okay? Because they're not so important. And then other words are just normal, all right? So I'm going to read through sentence by sentence, and if you want, you can copy me reading this. So I'll leave a short pause after each sentence, and if you want, you can stop the video and you can repeat it, not just what I said, but how I said it. And that's going to help with your English fluency and your English pronunciation, make your English sound much more natural. So let's jump into my answer. I think I can best answer this question by sharing a story about an exhibition I took part in my final year at college. So it's your turn. I'd been experimenting with watercolors for a few months, mostly as a way to relax, when one of my teachers encouraged me to submit a few pieces to a local gallery. At first, I wasn't sure I was ready to show my work publicly, but I eventually agreed. As the opening date approached, I started feeling really anxious and unsure about whether my paintings were good enough. It was a completely new experience, and I didn't know how people would react. My response to the situation surprised even me. Instead of pulling back, I decided to throw myself into the process and really unleash my creativity. I spent hours refining my techniques, trying out new styles, and even added a couple of last-minute pieces that I felt expressed more emotion. Very good. I hope you're continuing to follow me. I also went to see other exhibitions for inspiration, which helped me gain confidence in my own work. By the time the gallery opened, I felt proud of what I created, and hearing people's feedback gave me an enormous boost. It reminded me that art doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. I would have to say that I ultimately learnt a lot from the experience. As well as discovering a passion I hadn't fully explored before, I also learnt how to cope with self-doubt and step outside my comfort zone. Although I was incredibly nervous at first, I ended up enjoying the whole process and even sold one of my watercolors. In fact, I now paint regularly, and I've even joined a local art group. Who would have thought that agreeing to take part in a small exhibition could have had such a big impact on my life? So there we go, that is a 160 level speaking sample answer. It's got lots of good vocabulary, it's specific things like watercolors, it's got some nice complex sentences, so the grammar score is very high, and we're saying it in a fluent and a very natural pronunciation way. So that's a pretty good answer. By the way, if you are preparing to take the DET and you want to make sure you score 120 or higher the first time you take the test, we have got a great course. It's got everything you need. It's got videos on all of the different speaking questions and the other questions as well. We've got all kinds of great resources to help you practice. And the link to that course is here under the video. The next task we're going to focus on is speak about the photo. So in this task, you get a photo, you have 20 seconds to think about it, to look at all of the details, and then you speak for up to 90 seconds. Okay, so here is the photo that we're going to be focusing on. And again, I'm going to give you those times on screen and you're going to have a try. So 20 seconds to prepare, 90 seconds to speak. Your time starts now. Okay, welcome back. So, a slightly shorter question, but still pretty difficult. Let's go through my answer now. And again, you'll be able to see we've got some specific high-level vocabulary, we've got some nice sentences, and we're going to make it sound nice as well. We're going to do the same thing as we did with speaking sample. I will read one sentence, you can watch for which words are stressed and which words we say quite quickly, and which words are normal. And if you want, you can stop the video in the short pause and you can try and practice it yourself so that you sound more like me. All right, so let's begin. Here we're presented with an image of someone watering small plants with a large green watering can. And by the way, green watering can, that thing that they're using, that's the nice vocabulary here. That's something quite specific. You won't always know what the exact word is, but if you do know, definitely use it. Let's continue. The seedlings are in little black pots that have been placed directly into a raised bed, which may be part of a community or shared garden. Good. In the background, there's a wooden planter with hand-painted writing on the side, suggesting this space is used for local gardening projects. Very good. It's tricky to say exactly where this is, but given the wooden structures and slightly overgrown edges, I'd guess it's somewhere urban or semi-rural, perhaps in a city school or community centre. The person's jacket looks like it might be waterproof, so the weather is probably damp or cool, though the plants seem to be growing well. We can also spot some empty pots lying around, indicating that planting is still in progress. In summary, the photo likely captures someone taking part in a community gardening effort. It communicates a sense of care, sustainability, and getting your hands dirty. All right, very good. By the way, if you are enjoying this following me, copying my pronunciation and my intonation, and I think it is a very good way to make your English sound more natural. But if you are enjoying it, remember to save this video and also like and subscribe because that really helps us. But save the video so that you can come back to it and practice again. If you only practice once, it's not really enough. Try to practice a few times going through. Now you might have noticed that there are some really useful sentences in that answer. We're going to quickly look at them again. These are sentences that you can use in your own speak about the photo and write about the photo answers. You just need to add your own detail. Let's quickly look. So the first one, here we are presented with an image of, you say what the image is, what can you see in the picture? And we have in the background, there's something in the background, so like behind. It's tricky to say exactly. This is when you're guessing about something, like exactly where they are, or exactly who they are, or exactly what they're doing. But you're having a guess anyway. We can also spot something. Spot means we can go, oh look there. So it's another word for seeing something or noticing something. And it communicates a sense of, and we say, what feeling it gives us. It communicates a sense means it gives a feeling of something. Next, we're going to move to another difficult DET speaking question, read then speak. So in this one, it's kind of similar in the timing. You get 20 seconds again, just like speak about the photo, and you can read the question, you think about it in your head, make a little plan, and then you have 90 seconds to answer. So the question we're going to look at is this one. Talk about a time you enjoyed being alone. Okay, so you're going to tell a little story. Remember to use the past tense when you're telling this story because it happened to you in the past. And that's the only help I'm going to give you for now. So now we're going to go through that question. 20 seconds to prepare, 90 seconds to speak. Let's begin now. Okay, so welcome back. Let's take a look at my answer. And once again, we're going to go through and we're going to read it sentence by sentence. So, first of all, one time I really enjoyed being alone was during a weekend I spent in a small cabin in the countryside. I'd been feeling mentally drained after a few extremely hectic months, so I decided to book a quiet getaway on my own. There was no internet, barely any phone signal, and nothing around but fields and trees. I stayed for 2 nights, and it ended up being exactly what I needed. I say this because being alone in that environment gave me the space to slow down and really connect with myself. I spent time reading, going for long walks, and simply sitting outside with a cup of tea, listening to the birds singing. Without constant noise, I could finally hear my own thoughts and enjoy the peace. My perspective is probably shaped by the fact that I'm usually surrounded by people, both at work and at home. I love being social, but that trip reminded me that I also need solitude sometimes to reset and recharge. It was a quiet experience, but a powerful one, and I came back feeling much calmer and clearer. Okay, there you go. That is another 160 level answer. Notice some of the nice vocabulary there. We had things like solitude, that's like being by yourself. Reset and recharge, that's like to get back to yourself, to build your energy again, to stop feeling so tired. Just before we move to the 4th speaking question, I'd love to know, you can tell me your answer to this in the comments, which of the speaking questions do you think is the most difficult? Is it speaking sample? Is it speak about the photo? Is it read then speak? Or is it the one that we're about to look at, which is a new question for 2025? Let me know. You can just write the name of the question in the comments, because the more that you tell me, okay, that's the most difficult, the more I can make extra videos to help you prepare. So let me know in the comments. So let's move to the 4th one, and this is the newest one. This was new in July 2025. This is interactive speaking. So interactive speaking is quite different to the others. In the other 3, you have to speak for a long time. It's like a speech, and that will more affect your production subscore. Interactive speaking, it kind of affects your production subscore, but it's more like conversation, because you're going to have a conversation with the AI, with the test. The test will give you between 6 and 8 questions, and for each question you're going to listen to it, you won't see it, you'll just hear it, and you're going to answer, and you have up to 35 seconds. So it's question, you answer, another question, you answer. Sometimes they're going to change the topic halfway through, and then another question, you answer, and then at the end it will say, okay, conversation complete. So we're going to do a little bit of practice of this. If you want to practice this more, we have some much more detailed videos about interactive speaking. You can check in the link for that. Also remember, as I said before, like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future DET videos about preparing for the test, lots of vocabulary, practice questions, all kinds of different things. So an important detail about interactive speaking is that you only hear the question once. So you really have to pay attention. And that's what we're going to test you on here, okay? You're not going to see the question, you're just going to hear it. You'll only hear it once. And then I'm going to give you 35 seconds to try to give some kind of answer. And then we'll come back and I'll show you my answer, okay? So get yourself prepared. Your practice of interactive speaking starts now. I'd like to ask you a few questions about holidays. What are some reasons people like going on holiday? Okay, so that was a little taster. Remember, in the real interactive speaking, there's lots of questions. There's 6 or 7 or 8 questions. We're just looking at one. As I said before, if you want to see more about interactive speaking, have a little look under the video here. We've got lots more videos about it. But now, let's go through my answer. And again, it's going to be much shorter, but we're going to read sentence by sentence. Watch out for those stressed words. Watch out for the words that we say quite quickly. Let's have a look. I think one reason people enjoy getting away is that it offers a chance to unwind and forget about the stresses of daily life. Sometimes a change of scenery makes a big difference to how you feel. On top of that, if you visit another country, you have the chance to experience a new culture with its different cuisine, traditions, music, and so on. I'd also add that going on holiday can be fun, especially with a group of friends. All right, there you go. So there we go. Those are the 4 most difficult speaking questions in the Duolingo English test. Remember, I'd love to know which one of the 4 you think is the number 1 most difficult. Speaking sample, speak about the photo, read then speak, or interactive speaking. Let me know in the comments. You can also check out a video just here that has all of the updates, all of the new things and the changes and the deleted questions that are coming or have already arrived actually in July 2025, okay? So make sure you check that out. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, please like and subscribe. And remember, if you are preparing for the DET and you want to get the most complete course to make sure you score 120 or higher the first time you take the test, check out our full DET complete preparation course. The link is just here under the video as well. I'm Francis from Last Minute English. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck in your DET preparation. I'll see you next time.